You've heard them say it, haven't you? Red meat is dangerous. Cut it out if you care about your heart. Men your age shouldn't be eating steak. But what if I told you that they were wrong? What if I told you that, somewhere along the way, the truth was buried beneath headlines and half-truths, and in the process, men, real men, lost something sacred? This isn't about cholesterol. It's not about fat or calories or marketing fear. This is about you, your strength, your vitality, your desire, your power. Because the truth is, somewhere between your youth and this moment, someone convinced you that getting older meant giving up, that slowing down was part of the deal, that sex would become a memory, that drive would turn to dust, that your masculine fire would quietly flicker out, unnoticed and unmissed. And maybe you believed it. Maybe you've already felt the shift. The mornings when energy is missing, the nights when intimacy becomes an effort, the mirror that doesn't reflect the man you once were. But deep inside you still feel him, the man who once stood tall with shoulders back, who woke up with purpose and passion. He's still there, waiting, hungry, and today he's going to eat. Because red meat, yes, real, juicy, iron-rich, testosterone-feeding red meat, is not your enemy, it is your ally. It is the ancestral fuel that your body remembers, your hormones crave, and your blood responds to like a match to dry wood. It's not poison, it's power. But first, let's go back to the version of you before the warnings, before the fatigue, before the pills, before the silence in the bedroom. Do you remember what it felt like to wake up and feel alive in your body? To eat and know it was feeding muscle, fire, and focus. To stand close to someone you love and feel the confidence surge through you. To know that no matter your age, you were still a man. That fire never died, it just waited. And maybe, just maybe, your body has been asking for something ancient, something primal, something real, and not the artificial boosters or sugar-filled health foods they sell to seniors. Not another salad with low-fat dressing, not another powdered drink, but real food. Food that comes from the earth and muscle. Food that carries iron, zinc, B12, carnitine, nutrients, not just for survival, but for virility. Because here's the secret no one tells you. When you stop feeding your body the building blocks of testosterone, when you cut off the nutrients your body uses to produce nitric oxide, repair tissue, and carry oxygen, you don't just lose energy, you lose desire, you lose presence, you lose performance. And they tell you that's normal. They tell you it's just your age. But what if it's not? What if the missing piece of your masculine fire wasn't in a bottle or a pill, but on your plate? What if every forkful of perfectly cooked steak was more than just a meal, but a message to your body? A message that says, I'm still strong, I still matter, I still want more. Because red meat doesn't just fill your stomach, it tells your body that it's time to rise again, to circulate, to heal, to awaken. So today, I ask you not to rebel blindly, not to eat recklessly, but to reclaim, to take back what was yours before the myths, before the headlines, before the decline. Today, we step into the truth that your body, even now, can rebuild, that your blood can still flow strong, that your libido can surge like it used to, maybe even more, that your connection with yourself and your partner can deepen, strengthen, intensify, and the fuel. It starts with truth, and that truth begins with meat. They told you that age was the enemy, that testosterone fades like a sunset you can't chase, that virility is a memory, and desire is just something you read about in magazines or see in commercials for pills you can't pronounce. But science and your own biology tell a different story, a story rooted in blood, muscle, and fuel. And the fuel your body understands best, especially when it comes to testosterone, is found in red meat. Let's talk about that, not the sensational headlines or the fear-mongering studies taken out of context. Let's talk about what red meat actually does when it meets the body of a man over 60, a body that's been through decades of stress, sugar, deficiency, and doubt. You see, testosterone is not a mystery, it's not magic, it's a chemical response, built from building blocks your body must receive consistently. And those building blocks, they're not found in rice cakes or diet soda. They live in saturated fat, in cholesterol, in iron, in zinc, in steak, in liver, in real red muscle-building meat. Because testosterone, the very hormone responsible for your desire, erection quality, energy, motivation, and emotional resilience, depends heavily on dietary fat and micronutrients that are abundant in red meat. The cholesterol in beef, it's not your enemy. It's the raw material for hormone production. The saturated fat, it feeds your cells and supports hormone balance. The heme iron, it carries oxygen to every inch of your body, including the areas that matter most when intimacy calls. And then there's zinc, a mineral so critical for testosterone and sperm quality, that its deficiency is directly linked to erectile dysfunction, prostate enlargement, and reduced libido. Guess where you find some of the richest sources of zinc? Beef, lamb, organ meats, foods our ancestors relied on, foods that built strong, fertile men. Let's not forget vitamin B12, crucial for neurological function and energy production. Without enough B12, you don't just feel tired, your entire system slows. And L-carnitine, it enhances blood flow, boosts nitric oxide, and supports healthy circulation. A trifecta for sexual health. When you give your body these tools, it responds, not with subtle whispers, with roaring results, better mood, firmer erections, deeper sleep, a clearer mind, and yes, a stronger libido. But this isn't about becoming a teenager again. It's about becoming fully yourself, the man you were always meant to be, with nothing missing, nothing dulled, nothing resigned to age. It's about understanding that meat is not just food, it's information. It tells your body, build, recover, produce, energize, and your body listens. Now, think about the alternatives you've been offered. Low-fat yogurts with hidden sugar, protein bars with soy isolate, meal replacements made in a lab, and the result, low energy, low drive, low performance, low satisfaction. You've done it their way. You've followed the advice. And what did it bring you? Maybe you've noticed a softening in your body, in your confidence, in your connection. Maybe the man in the mirror looks familiar, but not quite like you remember. But here's the truth. He is not gone. He is simply underfed, undernourished, waiting for something real. And that something real could be as simple as a perfectly cooked piece of red meat. Imagine this. You sit down at the table. No distractions, no guilt, just a steak, still sizzling. You cut into it, you smell it, you taste it, and with every bite, your body begins to wake up. Not just your muscles, your hormones, your emotions, your desires. Because food is emotional, and the emotional starvation of the modern man is real. You've been told to suppress, to ignore, to accept, but not today. Today you eat to remember, to reclaim, to restore. This isn't about excess. It's not about gorging or mindless consumption. It's about quality, grass-fed, pasture-raised, mineral-rich, honest, because your body knows the difference between fuel and filler, and red meat, real red meat, tells the truth. It speaks directly to your biology, your chemistry, your masculine core. So if you've been tired, dulled, foggy, disconnected, maybe it's not just aging, maybe it's deprivation, and maybe the first step toward reclaiming your energy, your performance, your libido, is right there on your plate. There's a silence that enters a man's life when his energy fades, not the kind of silence that brings peace, not the stillness of a quiet morning or the comfort of solitude, but a silence that feels like something is missing, a part of you, gone. It's in the moments you used to feel powerful, now replaced by hesitation, in the way your partner looks at you, searching for the spark that once danced in your eyes, in the way you avoid your own reflection, in the way the nights have grown colder, quieter, more distant. You tell yourself it's normal, that aging does this, that the fire dims for everyone. But deep inside, you know that's not the full truth, because what's fading isn't just testosterone, it's a man's sense of self, his role, his passion, his voice in the world. And every time you walk past a mirror without meeting your own gaze, every time your partner reaches for your hand, but not your body, every time you find yourself making excuses for why tonight isn't the night, that silence grows louder. It doesn't shout, it whispers, you've changed. You're not the man you were, you're less now. But here's the thing, you're not less. You're underfed, undercharged, disconnected from the fuel that once gave you strength. And that reconnection, that return to wholeness, doesn't come from a prescription. It doesn't come from surrendering to the expectations of age. It comes from remembering who you are. And that remembrance starts at the source, from the inside out. Because your biology still responds. It still fights for you, even now. It just needs what it's been missing. That fire in your belly, literal and metaphorical, can be lit again with something as simple, as primal, as beautiful, as real food. Meat is more than nutrition, it's identity. When you chew a piece of steak, your body remembers. It remembers strength. It remembers dominance. It remembers passion. But even more than that, your mind begins to believe again that you're not fading, that you're not broken, that your best years don't have to live only in memory. Because when you nourish your body responds. Your posture changes. Your eyes sharpen. Your chest expands. Your tone deepens. Your thoughts clear. And your partner, they feel it, not just in your touch, in your presence. Because nothing is more attractive than a man who is present, who is grounded, who is alive. And this kind of presence, it begins inside, not with expensive programs, not with loud declarations, but with quiet power. Power that says, I take care of myself. Power that says, I still have more to give. Power that says, I haven't stopped being a man. And when you reclaim that power, something shifts. The silence starts to fade. It's replaced by laughter, by passion, by midnight conversations that turn into connection, by mornings where you wake up feeling not old but capable. All of this, from one decision, to feed yourself the way nature intended, with real meat, with strength on your plate, with honor in your hands. Because masculinity was never meant to disappear. It was meant to evolve, to deepen, to radiate wisdom and heat, even as the years pass. And those who told you otherwise, they don't know what it means to be a man over 60, to carry both time and fire, to love harder, protect deeper, and feel everything fully. You do, you know, and now, you choose to act on that knowing. You don't need permission, you need protein, zinc, iron, testosterone, love, touch, purpose, and it all starts with how you show up for yourself first. So the next time you cook that steak, don't rush, don't apologize, don't cut corners, make it count. Let it sizzle with intention. Let it fill your home with the smell of power. Let every bite remind you, you are still here, you are still strong, you are still him. There comes a moment in every man's journey where he must decide, not who he once was, but who he still chooses to be. That moment doesn't come with a warning. It doesn't knock at your door politely. It arrives silently, tucked between aches in the morning, slower steps, quieter nights, and that question in your chest, is this all that's left? But let me tell you something many forget. The fire inside a man doesn't retire with age. It simply waits for the right spark, the right fuel. And often, that spark begins with something we've been told to fear: red meat. You see, society and many health trends have labeled red meat the villain, a threat, something to limit, to avoid, to cut from your life. But for the man over 60, seeking not just more years, but better years, that narrative can be misleading. Because when chosen wisely, when prepared intentionally, red meat isn't the enemy. It's a reconnection to your roots, to your strength, to your masculinity. Inside every juicy, well-cooked piece of steak, there is more than just taste. There are tools your body has been missing, tools that speak the ancient language of testosterone, zinc, iron, creatine, B12, saturated fat, not the poison many believe, but the structure, the foundation, the backbone of male vitality. Your body doesn't forget what it was made for. Your muscles remember. Your libido remembers. Your spirit, that quiet, grounded, fierce force within you, remembers. Let's get specific. When you eat quality red meat, your body gets a surge of heme iron, the most bioavailable form. That means your blood carries oxygen more efficiently. And better oxygen transport means better circulation, not just to your brain, but to every part of you, including where it matters most when passion calls. You also receive zinc, one of the most vital elements in the production of testosterone. Zinc is not just a mineral, it's a messenger. It tells your body, it's time to produce again, time to rise again, time to remember who you are. Then there's creatinine, often talked about for athletes, but in truth, a secret ally for older men. It supports energy in your cells, improves performance, helps muscle retention, and even mental clarity. What does that mean for you? Stamina, not just in the gym, but in life, in intimacy, in presence. And vitamin B12, the spark plug of your entire nervous system. It keeps your signals sharp, your mind focused, and your energy running. And where do you find it? In abundance. In red meat. But this isn't just about science. This is about permission. permission to take back what was always yours, your strength, your fire, your desire, your confidence. So many men walk this earth half awake, weighed down by guilt, shame, misinformation, told they should shrink, not expand, told they should soften, not roar. But masculinity, true, grounded, respectful masculinity, isn't something to hide, it's something to honor, and part of honoring it means feeding it. When you sit down with a plate of well-cooked red meat, you're not just eating, you're fueling, you're rebuilding, you're whispering to your body, let's go again, I'm not done, not even close. You're reclaiming Saturday morning strength, late-night passion, the power to lift, carry, protect, provide, the pleasure of walking into a room and feeling centered, present, certain, because when your body is nourished, your posture changes, not because someone told you to stand up straight, but because you feel worthy of standing tall again. Let's be clear, not all meat is created equal. The key is quality, grass-fed, minimally processed, prepared with care, not chemicals. This isn't about indulgence, this is about intention. You don't need mountains of meat, you need meaningful meat, consumed with awareness, gratitude, and purpose. And this new rhythm, it spills over. You begin to notice that your mind is sharper, your eyes more alert, your decisions firmer. And when you touch the one you love, they feel it too, the electricity that comes from a man fully fed, fully alive. You start to show up differently, not with arrogance, but with quiet power, with a renewed sense of masculine purpose that says, I know what I bring. I take care of myself. I am still vital, still wanted, still very much a man. That power doesn't come from supplements alone. It doesn't come from trends. It comes from honoring the basics, the primal truths, that nature made your body strong and gave you the tools to keep it that way. One of those tools, red meat, real, nourishing, sustaining meat. So tonight, when you prepare your meal, do it with reverence. Let the sizzle in the pan remind you that heat still lives within you. Let the aroma in your kitchen awaken your senses. Let the first bite bring you back to the man you've always been, powerful, passionate, alive. You don't need to chase your youth. You only need to feed your essence. And your essence, my friend, is still roaring beneath the surface, waiting for you to say, I'm ready. Ready to rise, ready to feel again, ready to love with depth, touch with intention, and walk this life fully, proudly, and strong. They told you to fear it. They told you that red meat clogs your arteries, poisons your heart, and brings your health to the edge. They repeated it like a chant, like gospel, until you began to believe it. Until you looked down at your plate and saw not nourishment, but guilt. Until the steak you once loved became a symbol of something dangerous, even selfish. And just like that, the most primal, ancestral food, the fuel that built empires, shaped warriors, and carved strength into the bones of men, was labeled bad. Let's break the silence. Because behind the wave of fear is a deeper truth, one the modern world doesn't want to admit, one that challenges the softness they've tried to mold into your identity, one that reminds you that not all progress serves the soul, especially the soul of a man who still carries fire in his belly. The truth is, removing red meat from your life didn't make you stronger, it made you weaker, not just in body, but in will. You became more tired, less driven, quieter. You started doubting your edge, your instincts dulled, your clarity fogged, your bedroom grew colder, quieter, more distant, and no one told you why. Because the moment men disconnected from their natural fuel, they disconnected from themselves. Let's look at what happened. You swapped steak for salads, butter for margarine, eggs for heart-healthy grains. Saturated fat, once your ally, was replaced by sugar, seed oils, and artificial substitutes. And while your plate looked modern, your body felt ancient, starved, forgotten, left behind. Do you remember how it used to feel? The way meat made you stand a little taller, the way your chest felt fuller, your presence more grounded, your desire more alive. That wasn't coincidence. That was your biology speaking the language it was meant to speak. And when that language was silenced, so was your vitality. But now you know, now you see the game, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. So let's reclaim it. Let's talk about testosterone, not the synthetic kind, but the one your body produces when it's fed the right message. And that message, it doesn't come from cereal boxes or low-fat yogurt. It comes from red meat, from saturated fat, from cholesterol, yes, Cholesterol, the building block of every sex hormone in your body. Without it, your testosterone declines. And when testosterone declines, so does everything it touches. Your energy, your confidence, your muscle tone, your erections, your mood, your identity. This isn't about vanity, it's about biology. About respecting the architecture of the male body and feeding it with what it understands. Think of testosterone as the engine. Think of red meat as the fuel. No fuel, no fire. But it's more than that. There's a cultural war against strength, against masculinity, and one of the quietest weapons in that war has been your diet. Strip a man of his food, and you strip him of his foundation, his fire, his clarity, his power. You're not meant to be numb. You're not meant to be quiet. You're not meant to surrender to fatigue and fade into the background. You're meant to lead, to pursue, to protect, to love deeply and with full presence. But how can you do that when your body has been betrayed by years of misinformation? This is your moment to say, no more. To stand up and say, I will no longer starve my fire. Because a well-fed man is a dangerous man, not in violence, but in vitality, in confidence, in purpose, in passion. And when you return to real food, to meat that nourishes, not numbs, everything begins to change. You think sharper, you breathe deeper, you walk into a room and take up space with calm, steady strength. And in the silence of night, when it's just you and the woman you love, something else returns. Desire, not just physical, but emotional. That deep magnetic pull that says, I'm here, I'm alive, I still burn. And she'll feel it too. Because when a man rises, everything around him rises. So let them talk. Let them call you outdated, primal, too focused on old ways. Because the old ways made strong men. The old ways built intimacy, stamina, fire, resilience. And maybe what you need isn't a new pill or another modern solution. Maybe you just need to return to what always worked. Meat, muscle, masculinity, no apologies. This is your birthright, not because someone told you, but because it's written in your blood, in your bones, in your instincts, all waiting for you to remember. And now that you do, now we move forward. You've begun to feel the shift. It started slowly, like a soft return of strength, but now it's growing. Your mornings feel different, sharper. You wake up with a quiet readiness instead of fatigue. Something is returning, something that had been fading without you even noticing. Presence, the full presence of being a man in his body again. But red meat alone is only the beginning. Now that the fire has been relit, you need to protect it, feed it, let it burn steadily. This is where the deeper transformation begins, because what you eat is only part of your power. How you move, rest, breathe, think, it all feeds the same engine. You're not just restoring testosterone. You're rebuilding your life from the inside out. So ask yourself, what else is feeding or starving your fire? Let's talk about how movement becomes medicine. This isn't about lifting heavy weights in a gym full of mirrors. This is about reclaiming strength through movement that awakens the body, walking with purpose, stretching your frame, engaging your muscles in real ways. A body in motion stays in motion, and motion builds blood flow, and blood flow builds desire. Picture it, a 30-minute walk each morning before the world wakes up. The air is crisp, your feet on the ground, your breath steady, your thoughts finally quiet. Every step pumping blood, oxygen, testosterone. Your body begins to trust you again. It rewards you with focus, energy, and that feeling you've missed for so long, aliveness. Now layer that with sleep. Not just any sleep, but deep, uninterrupted rest. The kind that restores hormones, resets stress, repairs tissue. When you eat meat rich in iron, zinc, and B12, your sleep deepens. Your body repairs more efficiently. And during those quiet hours of darkness, your testosterone is produced. That's not magic, that's biology. And what about stress? You've carried too much for too long. Work, family, worries that piled on like bricks until your shoulders stooped and your chest caved inward. But stress is a thief. It steals testosterone, steals intimacy, steals clarity. Cortisol, the stress hormone, fights against your manhood every day. That's why reclaiming your peace is as important as reclaiming your diet. Find your place of stillness. Maybe it's prayer, maybe it's nature, maybe it's silence, but find it. Go there daily. Protect it like you protect your health. Because when your mind is calm, your body follows. Your testosterone rises. Your presence deepens. and your partner feels it even in the way you hold her hand. Now let's add hydration. Simple water, so often overlooked, yet essential. A hydrated body moves blood better, and better blood flow means better erections, sharper thinking, more energy. Combine hydration with red meat, and your cells begin to wake up again. They receive the oxygen and nutrients they've been missing. And all of this, every meal, every walk, every hour of rest, starts creating a new identity. You're no longer a man at the mercy of time. You're a man learning to master it, to meet age not with fear, but with strength. You are no longer shrinking, you are expanding, in body, in mind, in spirit. People around you notice. Your children speak to you with new respect. Your partner looks at you with old fire. Even strangers feel something steady in your presence. Not aggression, but certainty. Not ego, but depth. Because when a man nourishes himself fully, he becomes unshakable. Let's talk now about desire. Not just the physical kind, but the desire to engage with life again, to create, to explore, to pursue. That desire is fueled by health, yes, but also by meaning. So ask yourself, what are you building now? What excites you? What brings fire to your chest and clarity to your eyes? Your health is not just for pleasure, it's for purpose. Because a man with strength but no mission is still lost, but a man with both is unstoppable. So you've returned to red meat. You've begun walking, sleeping, calming your mind. You're drinking more water, feeding your cells. And now, you ask what's next? The answer, consistency. This isn't about a 30-day fix. This is about who you are becoming. It's about showing up for yourself every day, even when no one sees. It's about choosing steak over sugar, stillness over stress, movement over stagnation, passion over passivity. And it's about forgiveness. Forgiving yourself for the years lost to misinformation, for the times you didn't know better, for the moments you thought your best days were behind you, because they're not. Your best days begin now, not because your body is young, but because your spirit is strong. And that strength, fed by real food, real habits, and real presence, will carry you further than youth ever could. So take the next step. Eat with intention, move with purpose, rest with honor, live with fire. You are not done. You are just getting started. The shift in your energy is no longer subtle. It's visible. Your reflection carries more certainty. Your stride, more weight. You've returned to something you hadn't even realized was missing. Masculine clarity. But clarity needs fuel. And that fuel isn't just about food. It's about what flows through you. Literally, blood, the river of life. And red meat has been helping, yes, but there's more to the story. Now it's time to focus on your bloodstream. Because libido isn't a standalone flame. It's part of a system that begins with healthy arteries, steady hormones, and unblocked pathways. And to maintain all that, your blood must be free. Free of debris, inflammation, and toxins that slow you down, clog your fire, mute your strength. And red meat, when clean and well-sourced, plays a powerful role here. But so does your rhythm, so does your breath, so does your ability to pause and be present. Imagine this. Every beat of your heart pushing nutrient-rich blood to your extremities, including where it matters most. Imagine your blood no longer thick with sugar and stress, but vibrant with oxygen and testosterone. Imagine erections that come not from supplements or desperation, but from your body's own natural design, awakened and respected. That image is not fantasy, it's physiology, but it only becomes real when you respect the flow. What blocks that flow for many men is not just diet, it's tension, chronic tension, shoulders tight from years of burdens, jaws clenched from unspoken fears, hearts heavy from regrets they never released. And this tension, it constricts vessels, it chokes the fire, it dims the masculine force inside. So what do? You breathe, you take deep steady breaths every morning, 5 minutes, in through your nose, out through your mouth. You do it before you check your phone, before you speak to anyone, before the world gets loud. And each breath tells your body, you are safe. And in safety, testosterone rises, erections become easier, blood flows again. And now we return to red meat. Because meat gives you the tools, the amino acids, the iron, the zinc, but it's your habits that build the foundation. You can't eat steak while living in chaos and expect miracles. Your body needs alignment, food, rest, breath, stillness. That's where transformation happens. That's where libido becomes not just a moment, but a lifestyle. Let's be honest for a moment. How many years did you live disconnected from your body? Maybe it started after retirement, maybe after heartbreak, maybe after the 50th birthday you didn't want to celebrate. And since then, maybe you've just managed, you've existed, you've done your duties, but you haven't fully felt alive. You haven't felt that pulse of desire, not just for sex, but for life itself. And now it's coming back, not because of youth, but because of awareness, because you are choosing to take back the keys to your kingdom, one choice at a time, one meal, one breath, one step. And now, that fire, it's becoming harder to ignore. People see it, they comment, you look different. And they're right. You're standing taller, you're speaking slower, with more confidence. You're not rushing, you're not chasing, you're simply rooted, grounded, alive. And all of that is masculine power reborn. The kind of power that comes from self-respect, not ego. The kind of power that makes you irresistible, not because of muscle, but because of presence. The kind of power that turns red meat from food into fuel for purpose. This is your renaissance, and you've earned it. There's something sacred about a man who honors his own strength, not with loud declarations or vain posturing, but through quiet, disciplined action, through care for what enters his body, through mindfulness in how he moves, through intention in how he connects. And at the core of that strength is consistency, because it's not the occasional steak that transforms you. It's the regular honoring of your biology, the understanding that your body isn't betraying you, it's simply waiting for you to show up for it, fully, every day. This is where meat becomes ritual. You don't just eat it for taste anymore, you eat it for life. You eat it knowing that every bite delivers the iron your blood craves, the zinc your testosterone demands, the B vitamins your nervous system relies on. And you eat it without guilt, because guilt has no place in a man reclaiming his fire. Let others debate nutrition trends and fear-mongering. You are choosing wisdom over fashion. You're choosing ancient strength over modern confusion. Your ancestors didn't fear red meat. They honored it. They hunted it. They knew it made men into warriors, not just of battle, but of purpose. But you don't just stop at the plate. You hydrate, because blood can't flow through a dry riverbed. You walk, because strength isn't measured in hours at the gym but in the ease of movement. You sleep early, not because you're old, but because your body deserves deep, sacred restoration. And you love, not as a fading echo of youth, but as a man who knows that real intimacy is built on vitality. Because now, when you touch your partner, there's presence behind your hand, there's power behind your voice, there's truth behind your eyes. This is what red meat is unlocking, not just hormones, but confidence, not just desire, but direction. And that direction doesn't come from hype. It comes from clarity. And clarity is what your body gives you when it's no longer fighting inflammation, fatigue, or deficiency. You begin to notice something strange. Life becomes easier. Decisions become clearer. Your moods become steadier. Your thoughts become sharper. You don't snap at small things. You don't crumble under pressure. You face your day with calm strength, and your partner feels it, not just in the bedroom, but across the kitchen table, in the car, in silence. She sees it in how you stand when you speak. She hears it in the weight of your words, and perhaps for the first time in years, she feels safe in your energy again. That's the hidden power of health. It's not just about libido or physical pleasure. It's about reclaiming your presence in every part of your life. It's about becoming the man you always hoped you'd be. So you keep going. You refine your habits. You keep your meals clean, your movements steady, your sleep deep. You begin to crave simplicity, real food, real conversations, real moments. And in that simplicity, you find joy. You begin to look forward to your meals, not as escape, but as medicine. You begin to see your mornings as sacred, not rushed, but grounded. You begin to walk through your day with a dignity that only comes from alignment, body, mind, spirit. And now, you no longer wonder if it's working. You feel it, not just in the bedroom, but in how you show up everywhere. And maybe that's the biggest shift of all. You're not just eating to fix a problem. You're eating to build a legacy. Because strength after 60 isn't about resisting age. It's about stepping into it with reverence. It's about showing younger men what's possible when you live with discipline, purpose, and truth. And the truth is, you were never broken. You were just waiting to be awakened. There's a truth you begin to feel in your bones, not just metaphorically, but physically. Your steps feel more grounded. Your back, once hunched by the weight of decades, straightens subtly. Not because you forced posture drills or back stretches, but because your spine finally feels supported from the inside, from nutrients, from minerals, from blood that actually flows with strength. That's the quiet power of nourishment done right. And at the center of that nourishment is meat. Not just any meat, but red meat chosen with care. Lean, clean, well-sourced, and treated with respect. You don't just throw it on a pan. You season it with intention. You prepare it like it matters, because it does. Because every bite carries the potential to build testosterone, to replenish iron, to restore zinc levels, to give your heart the cock 10 it's been silently asking for. And maybe you didn't even know that, but now you do. And now, your relationship with food has changed. It's no longer about fullness, it's about function, it's about fuel, and most importantly, it's about fire. Not the wild fire of youth that burns fast and fades, but the steady, enduring flame of mature masculinity. The kind that doesn't beg to be seen, it simply radiates. The kind that makes people lean in when you speak. The kind that makes intimacy richer. Because when your body is strong, your presence becomes magnetic, and something unexpected starts happening. You begin to dream again. Not the shallow dreams of escape or material gain, but the deep dreams of contribution, of legacy, of love expressed without fear. Because vitality gives you access to hope. It gives you permission to believe that your best chapter could still be ahead, not behind. That maybe, just maybe, this version of you is the most powerful one yet. And so you stop settling. You stop saying yes to what drains you. You stop tolerating energy vampires and distractions masked as obligations. You choose silence when it brings clarity. You choose solitude when it brings healing. You choose meat not for protein macros, but because it's primal. Because it returns you to something real, something earned, something almost spiritual. Because what no one tells you is this: a man's vitality isn't just in his body, it's in his choices. And when you choose to eat like a king, with reverence and discipline, you begin to live like one. Your days become more structured, not rigid, but deliberate. You rise early, not because you have to, but because your body is ready. You feel hunger not as a craving, but as a call to nourish. And with each week, your libido responds in kind. Not in bursts, but in rhythm. Not from pills, but from within. You start to feel urges again. Real ones, not just thoughts, but impulses that come from deep in your belly. You look at your partner differently. You touch her more slowly. You kiss her like it matters, and she feels it, because it does. And that intimacy, it becomes sacred again. Not a task, not a routine, but a ceremony. And maybe it's softer than in your youth. Maybe it's slower, but it's deeper, it's richer, it's honest. And that honesty, it's healing, because no food can fake presence. No vitamin can replace eye contact. No supplement can substitute a man who is truly, fully here. And that, more than any diet, is what you're building now. Presence, through strength, through intention, through a return to the body that has served you all these years, and is finally being served in return. This is the reward of real nourishment. And you've earned it. And now you stand on the other side of everything you once feared. You feared aging, you feared weakness, you feared losing your edge, your desire, your fire. But here you are not just surviving, but awakening. Because when you said yes to nourishing your body with real strength, when you returned to the foods that fueled your ancestors, you didn't just reignite your testosterone, you reignited your will, that quiet flame inside that says, I'm still here, I still matter. I still have love to give. I still have mountains to move. This isn't about meat anymore. It's about becoming fully you again. The man who doesn't shrink with age, but expands with it. The man who walks slower, yes, but walks with wisdom in every step. The man whose eyes don't dart, but lock in with purpose. The man who can lead, hold, protect, love, and perform, not because of some pill or trend, but because he lives in alignment. You're not chasing youth anymore. You've outgrown it. Now you chase depth, you chase clarity, you chase health, not vanity, strength, not noise, love, not approval. And in that choice, you become untouchable. Because true masculinity after 60 doesn't beg to be validated, it simply is. And that presence, that weight, changes everything. Your family feels it, your partner leans into it, and you finally look in the mirror and see yourself again. Not the version dulled by sugar, stress, and shame, but the version sharpened by discipline, respect, and truth. So keep going, keep feeding your fire, keep choosing real food, real rest, real relationships, because you're not just extending your life, you're deepening it. You're not just gaining years, you're gaining moments. And one day, when a younger man comes to you, lost, tired, disconnected, you'll know exactly what to tell him. Son, start with your plate, eat like a man, honor your body, and your body will return the favor. And in that simple truth, you'll pass the torch, not just of health, but of legacy.